Cigarette holes. So change the scene, house lights low, analog beam. You're the sweetest thing I've ever seen, life in widescreen, life in widescreen. Guided by a vivid dream, my heart was bleeding. Boys, they're mean. You suture it up, keep your needles clean, life in widescreen, life in widescreen. So I don't care if we seem too mean. I don't like that apathy scheme. Push me on all fours, your beauty queen. Life in widescreen. Life in widescreen. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wylde Stories 5. I thought I would start you off with a little poem there. That one was called Life in Widescreen, and it's about being really, really, really fucking happy that you are in love with someone. And fucking off the entire idea of not feeling like you should be head over heels for someone, because you should. I am Nicoletta Wylde, as most of you already know, and we should be live across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, even though I don't really know what Twitch is. And yeah, we've got a few people logging on already. Hi, Violet. I can see all of your comments, so please do tap a message I mean, it's different places for everybody, here or here or here or here, and let me know. I have had a very interesting week. As many of you know, Wylde Stories 3, or how I like to call it, Sexy Sunday, was put on hold because I had coronavirus. And yes, on last Sunday after the stream, I came back. The coronavirus came back to bite me in the ass again. So yeah, we went to the hospital, which was probably a very good idea. Initially, I didn't want to go, but my doctor overruled the ambulance people. I got cannulated. There's one bruise. There's another bruise. And there's a bruise there as well. Turned me into a pincushion. I had chest pains and felt like my chest was on fire. But yeah, the wonderful doctor that I saw was so incredible, and even wheeled me down to A&E on it by himself once because there were no porters. So yeah, happy to report that I still feel like shit, sort of, not as bad as I was. But now I'm off my tits on codeine, so that's absolutely fine. That's why I'm here with you guys today. No, it's not. I'm better today than I was for the whole week. But yeah, we pretty much confirmed that I definitely did have coronavirus. He didn't test me directly, but he said that all of the tests that he performed on me, which were quite a lot, obviously, given my history, came back with a result that he would expect somebody with coronavirus to have. So while I didn't have the specific antibody test, he was like 90% sure that that's what it was, because otherwise I wouldn't have had those responses to the other tests. So that's been my week, lying on the sofa, groaning, being sad, groaning some more. Thank you to the lovely voices in my head who looked after me, and they're here.
Hi.
Voices in my head are here, always around, always watching, always here.
You can hear me. But I can't hear you.
No, he can't. They can't hear you. They can't hear you. So I'm just going to. Oh, Alexa rocking up there. Alexa's always watching. If I can hear her. Yes, we can. Oh, it's Twitch. Brill. Yes, we can. AJ Hyde 95 says that we can. Yeah, it's Twitch.
Brill.
Yes. I should have been on mute. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Yes. So, had coronavirus. Wasn't very fun. Still probably got it a little bit. Very common for it to come back. Very common to get chest pains. Hi J Rob, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Yes, I didn't really experience much of the coldy flu symptoms. It was more like joint pain. So what I will say before I start this is like, thank you, NHS. Really, really amazing service. I had my own cubicle. They let my husband come in with me. They saw me really, really quickly, given the time of night. They, instead of keeping me overnight and admitting me, they kept me in A&E overnight and just looked after me. Finally let us go at 4 a.m. So yeah, my Monday was sleeping, but yeah, and then I called my doctor and got more painkillers. So thank God for codidromol. You know it's a pandemic when the hospital has no dihydrocodeine, right? So yes, apologies that I'm so bright today. The lights we have, there's a big window right by where I broadcast from, and yeah, the light is sort of making me look like a gothic rose. So I hope you like that first one. That one was Life in Widescreen. I did actually write that originally as a song. It might still get turned into a song, so that's absolutely wonderful. I am just going to load up the Instagram comments so I can see if anyone comments on Instagram. There we go. Wonderful. One person watching on Instagram. Excellent. Okay, so where are we? 10 past. I'm going to do another poem quickly, just so people can log on and set the stream going. Once again, please do say hello. Instagram, Periscope, let me know. This is a interactive show and I do take suggestions. I will incorporate them into the next show, whatever you want. But here's another one that is a song, and there is a recording of it. I might play it at some point on another show if you like it. This one's called Fuck Heart. He came from outer space and he had nothing to lose. His cupid hair and his snake prince shoes. And he started all the rumours that she might bite, utterly entrenched in her need to fight. She'll say, "You misrepresent my confidence, and you might have me down with no defence, but you don't see my inner might. All I know is fire and smite. Her sharp points, they're hard to touch, and he don't like that shape too much. Her sharp points, they're hard to touch, and he don't like that shape too much. Fuck heart. Stand still. Then he's easier to kill. Fuck heart, stand still. Then he's easier to kill. So, she brings the dark weather, and the flickering change, swirls of spittle and wolfsbane. But she might be the alchemist to make his knife, because she's utterly entrenched in this opiate life. She'll say, "You misrepresent my confidence, and you might have me down with no defence, but you don't see my inner might. All I know is fire and smite. Her sharp points, too hard to touch, he don't like that shape too much. Her sharp points, too hard to touch, he don't like that shape too much. Fuck heart. Stand still, then he's easier to kill. Fuck heart, stand still, then he's easier to kill." So that was Fuck Heart. Let me know if you want to hear the song. I can play the song. Don't know what I do while I play it. Just some like crazy hand movements like this. Ooh, I can do it like a dance.
Lip sync.
Lip sync? Can you lip sync to your own song? Isn't that a bit rubbish?
Well, I think it's just called miming.
Called miming. Crazy arm movements. Actually, I'm looking at the Instagram feed here now, and it's okay. So hopefully, it's not too bright for everybody else. Salt water. I started a new diet this week for kidney diet, and it's supposed to. I mean, you know, who knows with polycystic kidney disease, but it's supposed to work back and undo some of the damage polycystic kidney disease does. So, I mean, obviously, that's a long game, but yeah, it's the second day, and I feel very, very, very focused, which is nice because usually my head is like a cacophony of different characters just shouting at me to write their stories. So, yeah. Now. What shall we do now? It's 10 past. I am going to read a little bit from my show. My show that I took to the Fringe in who knows what year it was. Voices in my head? Can you remember?
2017.
2017.
Or 2018.
2018. Took this show to the Brighton and Edinburgh Fringe. Lots of hearts. Type some comments. Talk to me. I took this to the Brighton and Edinburgh Fringe. It did really well at both. I got a 4-star review, which is like the absolutely best thing that you can get at the Fringe. Focus and improvement is always good, says Violet. Yeah, it is. It is. And I expected the transition period to be painful, but no, it's not. The Fringe. So Brighton Fringe was packed because, as some of you were watching from, I used to live in Brighton. Edinburgh Fringe was packed after the first night. It was very, 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 very intense, and I would love to go back. I don't seem to be getting the Facebook comments. I'm just going to do some jiggery pokery. Chat. Is someone on Facebook? Can someone on Facebook say something? Alex. Anyone? Yeah, I don't think I'm getting the Facebook comments.
You've got comments from Kat, Violet, Alex.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any of these. All right, hang on. Jiggery pokery. Jiggery pokery. This is the Jiggery pokery song. Jiggery pokery, jiggery pokery. No, don't play it. Don't play it.
Shall I read out your comments?
Yes, voices in my head. What we're going to do is we're going to get the voices in my head to read out the Facebook comments because for some reason it is not bringing them through to this point. So here we go.
So Violet says, "Hiya."
Hi.
And then she says she's really glad you're getting better.
Oh, thanks, Violet.
Then she says, "Thank you, voices. You're welcome." And then Alex says, "Glad to see your chirpy face." Hi, voices. Hi.
Hi, Alex.
Then Violet says, "I can hear the voices in your head. That's scary."
My whole life is a series of me thinking that people can hear the voices in my head, so it's fine. It's just my vanity.
And then Violet says very beautifully, "Never apologise for shining brightly."
Oh.
Kat Lee says, "Heart, heart, 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 heart."
Hi, darling cat.
Lisa Pouncer says, "Yee."
Yee! Hi, Lisa, you're here. That makes me happy.
I'm not sure at what point of the podcast that was. She was obviously agreeing with something you said, though. Alex says she needs those voices when she can't remember stuff. Believe me, Alex, you don't know what you're asking for. I say hiya because I was testing it worked.
Hiya.
Alex says something because you asked her to. Russell says meow. Violet says or other. Lisa says I'm not really here.
Oh, okay.
And that she's a ghost.
You're a ghost. I mean, you can be a ghost. Some of my best friends are ghosts.
That brings us up to date. Okay,
sweet. So, yeah, Facebook, for some reason, not coming through, but voices in my head will shout them out at appropriate times, like I did for their live stream yesterday. So, before I get into Howl, because I'm going to do Howl, motherfuckers, I'm going to do a bit from Afraid of the Dark, and then if there's any time left after Howl, which I believe should be around half an hour, I'm going to read something that was influenced by Howl. So that is the menu for today. Right, this is the start of Afraid of the Dark. The show's full name is Nicoletta Wilder's Afraid of the Dark because it's always best to brand, get your name out there. Now we realise it's a lot. Mum, it's now. Mum. Whatever. She can watch it later on. That's fine. Voices, will you check YouTube for me?
I can check YouTube for you.
Oh no, YouTube is working because Violet's watching. Okay.
Yeah, I think Violet is double screening.
Sorry, focus. Right, Afraid of the Dark. Nicholas Wilder's Afraid of the Dark was my Fringe show about night terrors. And that's something that I've suffered with for a very long time, since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was really scared of them, like really terrifyingly scared, and I didn't tell anybody because I was, I was worried you hear stories of them being locked up or people being locked up or sent away, and I was like desperately just wanted to carry on with my life and not be locked up. Then I was watching TV really late at night when I shouldn't have. Sorry, Mum. With the volume on 1, and I saw this program about night terrors, and I realised that I'm not a freak. I'm not a weirdo. It's just everybody gets them, and some people have them once or twice. For me, I had them every night. It's better now. I don't get them, but it was really the sort of the last thing that I hadn't written about to perform because it needed the whole hour. And it's shaped my life so much that it needed the whole hour. So here is the start, not the very start, but near the start, of my Fringe show called Nicoletta Wylde is Afraid of the Dark. Have you ever had sex in front of a cat? Genuine goddamn question. Have you ever had sex in front of a cat? It's sort of like that. That's the best way that I can get it. This thing lurking, padding around you, dark flashing eyes, and a consciousness that resonates on a frequency only slightly above yours. A knowledge that it sees you, it hears you, it knows you so intimately, way more than you are able to say you know yourself. This pulsing, shadowy, shape-changing thing, that's how it feels looking at it. Like a reflection in a mirror that's been smashed, like a photo of you from your childhood or your first careful steps in the world. You know it's you. You do, reflected back in a shadowy pillar in the doorway, looking down at you with empty eyes and empty thoughts, but filling in the gaps is filling in something you know can't be there. It's like when someone you know walks into the room behind you when your skin rises and shakes, goosebump perfect to meet their energy, their chord in life. And this is what it's like when I see it, my fateful and always lover, my protector, the monster, the most reliable champion. Always there. Always watching, always smiling down with the knowledge it knows me, it sees me, it him, he, I always called him he. And I think from a very young age, I was determined to be romanced. And it's hard to keep my attention. See, something has to be standing over me to hold me down, to keep me in one place. It's the same with it. With him, I can feel him feeling me. Every knot, every vein, every cut and scrape. When I bash myself, I bash him, this symbiote, and I understand his vision and his preference, and I understand that he understands me, and he sees me for all I'm worth and all my dirty thoughts, all my fucked up tendencies, my lust for restricted breathing, my wish to lick the blood off the knife. He sees me staring, pulsing, breathing above me, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I understand he knows me. He sees me, and I couldn't get away no matter how hard I tried. And at the start, yeah, I tried. Pulled on his silver restraints and screamed as he held me down, and I bucked against him, and often we'd go falling through the hole of my bed into the mattress and through the floor. Together we'd grapple, and I enjoyed the feeling of the tightness in my limbs, the lashings at my wrist, because being restricted really makes me shine, you know? Yet No matter how hard I struggled, I couldn't get away. I was stuck still, the Valium of ages, primal fear in my veins and nothing else. And when I struggled, sometimes, he'd lift me up, slap my face and scream in it with those needle teeth, but never his eyes, no, never his eyes. I've never seen his fucking eyes. And he's got this long black cloak and his hood up, this warm yet dark feeling of utter betrayal, sinister the knowledge he's going to kill me when he can, and this is who I call the devil. Yeah, so that was a little piece from the start of the show. It involves a lot of movement and voiceovers. I can do it one time for a stream. Well, I guess the stream is on the screen. Yeah, I can do the whole thing. At some point, but cool. We have some comments. Hi, Chad. Chad says, do you worship the devil? Well, Chad, I do worship the devil. It's a fact. Deal with it. Also, it says, what else does it say? Scripted. Yeah, Chad, this is scripted. It's interesting, right? First we had, Violet says, ha, 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 ha. What was the first troll? The first troll was Trump, right? Yeah, the first troll was Trump. Second troll was someone pretending to be Doc Ansel, which is fucking awesome, by the way. Hi, Robert Johnson. Fucking awesome. And the third troll is, do you worship the devil? Yeah, I mean, you need to basically look up Satanism, mate. Like, it's not a school in Satanism. And yeah, this is not the time for me to launch into my own personal theology, but yeah. Hi, Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson says, what the fuck? What would you like clarification on, darling? Let me know. It's good, though, that this is getting out to a level where people feel like they can get crash the stream. Go me. Go me. Righty-ho. Right, I guess it's time. Oh. Guess it's time, isn't it? Now, because this is my show, I thought that it would be a really, really, really good idea to do Howl. Lots of you probably know Howl. Howl is by Allen Ginsburg, one of the beat poets. It's one of my absolute favourite poems ever. It's beautiful, and it's long, but it's super, super, super fun. So we're going to do it. I am going to be talking for around half an hour, so fucking strap in. I've got a little caption, so you know what it is. I love this poem so much. I feel like I'm racing through it today. It's been 23 minutes already. So yeah. This is Howl by Allen Ginsburg for Carl Solomon. Part 1. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for their ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night, who poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed and high sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats floating across the tops of cities contemplating jazz, who bared their brains to heaven under their L and saw Mohammedan angels staggering on tenement rooftops illuminated, who passed through universities with radiant cool eyes hallucinating Arkansas and Blake-like tragedy among the scholars of war, who were expelled from the academies for crazy and publishing obscene odes on the windows of the skull, who cowered in unshaven rooms in underwear, burning their money in wastebaskets and listening to the terror through the wall, who got busted in their public beards returning through Laredo with a belt of marijuana for New York, who ate fire in paint hotels or drunk turpentine in Paradise Alley, death or purgatoried their torsos night after night. With dreams, with drugs, with waking nightmares, alcohol and cock and endless balls. Incomparable blind streets of shuddering cloud and lightning in the mind leaping towards poles of Canada and Patterson, illuminating all the motionless world of time between. Peyote solidarities of halls, backyard green tree cemetery dawns, wine drunkenness over the rooftops, storefront boroughs of tea-head joyride, neon blinking traffic lights, sun and moon and tree vibrations in the roaring winter dusks of Brooklyn. Ashcan, rantings, and the kind king light of mind, who chained themselves to subways for their endless ride from Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine until the noise of wheels and children brought them down, shuddering, mouth-racked and battered bleak of brain, all drained of brilliance in the drear light of Zoo, who sank all night in sublime light of Bigfoods, floated out and sat through the stale beer afternoon in desolate fugazis listening to the crack of doom on the hydrogen jukebox, who talked continuously 70 hours from park to pad to bar to Bellevue to museum to the Brooklyn Bridge. A lost battalion of platonic conversationalists jumping down the stoops, off fire escapes, off windowsills, off Empire State, out of the moon, yakety-yakking, screaming, vomiting, whispering facts and memories and anecdotes and eyeball kicks and shocks of hospitals and jails and wars. Whose intellects disgorged in total recall for 7 days and nights, with brilliant eyes meet for the synagogue cast on the pavement, who vanished into nowhere, Zen, New Jersey, leaving a trail of ambiguous picture postcards on Atlantic City Hall, suffering Eastern sweats and Tanzanian bone grindings and migraines of China under junk withdrawal in Newark's bleak furnished room, who wandered around and around at midnight in the railroad yard, wondering where to go and whence, leaving no broken hearts, who lit cigarettes in boxcars, racketing through snow towards lonesome farms in a grandfather night, who studied Polonta's Post and John of the Cross telepathy and Bob Kabbalah because the cosmos instinctively vibrated at their feet in Kansas, who loaned it through the streets of Idaho, seeking visionary Indian angels who were visionary Indian angels, who thought they were only mad when Baltimore gleamed in supernatural ecstasy, who jumped in limousines with Chinamen of Oklahoma on the impulse of winter, midnight, street light, small town rain, who lounged hungry and lonesome through Houston, seeking jazz or sex or soup, and followed the brilliant Spaniard to converse about America and eternity, a hopeless task, and so took ship to Africa, who disappeared into the volcanoes of Mexico, leaving behind nothing but the shadow of dungarees and the lava of ash and poetry scattered in Fireplace, Chicago, who reappeared on the West Coast investigating the FBI in beards and shorts with big pacifist eyes, sexy in their dark skin, passing out incomprehensible leaflets, who burned cigarette holes into their arms, protesting the narcotic tobacco haze of capitalism, who distributed super communist pamphlets in Union Square, weeping and undressing while the sirens of Los Alamos wailed them down and wailed under wall, and the Staten Island ferry also wailed, who broke down crying in white gymnasiums, naked and trembling before the machinery of other skeletons, who bit detectives in the neck and shrieked with delight in police cars for committing no crime but their own wild cooking, pedestry and intoxication, who howled on their knees in the subway and were dragged off the roof waving genitals on manuscripts, who let themselves be fucked in the ass by saintly motorcyclists and screamed with joy, who blew and were blown by those human seraphim, the sailors' caresses of Atlantic and Caribbean love, who bawled in the morning, in the evenings in rose gardens, in the grass of public parks and cemeteries, scattering their semen freely to whoever come what may, who hiccuped endlessly trying to giggle but wound up with a sob behind a partition in a Turkish bath where the blonde and naked angel came to pierce them with a sword, who lost their lover boys to 3 old shrews of fate, the one-eyed shrew of the heterosexual dollar, the one-eyed shrew that rinks out of the womb, the one-eyed shrew that does nothing but sit on her ass and snip the intellectual golden threads of the craftsman's loom, who copulated, ecstatic and insatiate, with a bottle of beer and a sweetheart and a package of cigarettes and a candle, and fell off the bed and continued along the floor and down the hall and ended fainting on the wall with a vision of the ultimate cunt and cum eluding the last jism of consciousness, who sweetened the snatches of a million girls trembling in the sunset and were red-eyed in the morning, but prepared to sweeten the snatch of sunrise flashing buttocks under barns and naked in the lake, who went out whoring through Colorado in myriad stolen night cars, NC, the secret hero of these poems, Coxman and Adonis of Denver, joy to the memory of his innumerable lays of girls in empty lots and diner backyards, movie houses, rickety rows on mountaintops in caves, or with gaunt waitresses in familiar roadside lonely petticoat upliftings, and especially secret gas station solipsisms of Johns and hometown alleys too, who faded out in vast sordid movies, were shifted in dreams, woke up on a sudden Manhattan and picked themselves up out of basements hung over with heartless decay and horrors of Third Avenue iron dreams, and stumbled to unemployment offices, who walked all night with their shoes full of blood on the snowbank docks, waiting for a door in the East River to open to a room full of steam heat and opium, who created great suicidal dramas on the apartment cliff banks of the Hudson under the wartime blue floodlight of the moon, and their heads shall be crowned with laurel in oblivion, who ate the lamb stew of the imagination, or digested the crab at the muddy bottom of the rivers of Bowery, who wept at the romance of the streets with their push carts full of onions and bad music, who sat in boxes breathing in the darkness under the bridge and rose up to build harpsichords in their lofts, who coughed on the 6th floor of Harlem, crowned with the flame under the tuberculous sky, surrounded by orange crates of theology, who scribbled all night, rocking and rolling over lofty incantations which in the yellow morning was stanzas of gibberish, who cooked rotten animals, lung, heart, feet, tail, borscht and tortillas, dreaming of the purple vegetable kingdom, who plunged themselves under meat trucks looking for an egg, who threw off their watches and off onto the roof to cast the ballot for eternity outside of time, and alarm clocks fell on their heads every day for the next decade, who cut their wrists 3 times unsuccessfully, gave up, and were forced to open antique stores where they thought they were growing old and cried, who were burned alive in their innocent flannel suits on Madison Avenue amidst blasts of laden verse and the tanked-up clatter of the iron regiments of fashion and the nitroglycerin shrieks of the fairies of advertising and the mustard gas of sinister, intelligent editors, all were run down by drunken taxicabs of absolute reality. Who jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge. This actually happened, and walked away unknown and forgotten into the ghostly days of Chinatown soup alleyways and fire trucks and not even one free beer. Who sang out of their windows in despair, fell out of the subway window, who jumped in the filthy passage, leaped on Negroes, cried all over the street, danced on broken wine glass barefoot, smashed phonograph records of nostalgic European 1930s jazz, finished the whiskey and threw up groaning in the bloody toilet, moans in their ears and the blast of colossal steam whistles. Who barreled down the highways of the past, journeying to each other's hot Golgotha jail solitude watch or Birmingham jazz incantation. Who drove cross-country 72 hours to find out if I had a vision, or you had a vision, or he had a vision to find out eternity. Who journeyed to Denver, who died in Denver, who came back to Denver and waited in vain, who watched over Denver and brooded and loaned in Denver and finally went away to find out the time. And now Denver is lonesome for her heroes, who fell on their knees in hopeless cathedrals, praying for each other's salvation and light and breasts until the soul illuminated its hair for a second, who crashed through their minds in jail, waiting for impossible criminals with golden heads and the charm of reality in their hearts, who sang sweet blues to Alcatraz, who retired to Mexico to cultivate a habit, or Rocky Mountain to tender Buddha or Tangiers, to Boys or Southern Pacific to the Black Locomotive, or Harvard to Narcissus, to Woodlawn to the Daisy Chain, or Grave, who demanded their sanity trials, accusing the radio of hypnotism, and were left with their insanity in their hands and a hung jury, who threw potato salad at CCNY lecturers on Dadaism and subsequently presented themselves on the granite steps of the madhouse with shaven heads and harlequin speech of suicide, demanding instantaneous lobotomy. And who were given instead the concrete void of insulin, metzotrol, electricity, hydrotherapy, psychology, occupational therapy, ping pong, and amnesia. Who in humorless protest overturned only one symbolic ping pong table, resting briefly in catatonia. Returning years later, truly bald except for a wig of blonde and tears and fingers, to the visible madman, doom of the wards of the mad towns of the East. Pilgrim States, Rocklands and Greystone's fettered halls, bickering with the echoes of the soul, rocking and rolling in the midnight solitude of bench-dominant realms of love, dream of a life. A nightmare, bodies turned to stone, heavy as the moon. With Mother, finally fucked in the last fantastic book, hung out of the tenement window, and the last door closed at 4 a.m, and the last telephone slammed down at the wall in reply, and the last furnished room emptied down to the last piece of mental furniture, a yellow paper rose twisted on the wire hanger in the closet, and even that imagery, nothing but a hopeful little bit of hallucination. God, well, you are not safe. I am not safe. And now you're really in the total animal soup of time, and who therefore ran through the icy streets, obsessed with a sudden flash of the alchemy of the use of the ellipsis catalogue, a variable measure and the vibrating plane. who dreamt and made incarnate gasps in time and space through images of juxtaposed and trapped the archangel of the soul between two visual images and joined the elemental verbs and set the noun and the dash of consciousness together, jumping with sensation of pater omnipotens atenea deus. To recreate the syntax and measure of poor human prose, and stand before you speechless and intelligent and shaking with shame, rejected yet confessing out the soul to conform to the rhythm of thought in his naked and endless head. The madman, barman, angel beat in time, unknown yet pulling down here what might be left to say in time come after death. And rose, reincarnate in the ghostly clothes of jazz, in the gold horn shadow of the bad, and blew the suffering of America's naked mind for love into Eli, Eli, Lama, Lama, Sabachthani saxophone cry that shivered down the cities to the last radio. With the absolute heart of the poem of life butchered out of their own bodies, good to eat 1,000 years. Part 2. What sphinx of cement and aluminum bashed open their skulls and ate up their brains and imagination? Moloch! Solitude, filth, ugliness, ash cans and unobtainable dollars, children screaming under the stairways, boys sobbing in armies, old men weeping in the parks. Moloch, Moloch, nightmare of Moloch, Moloch the loveless, mental Moloch, Moloch the heavy judger of men. Moloch, the incomprehensible prison, Moloch the crossbones, soulless jailhouse and congress of sorrows, Moloch whose buildings are judgment, Moloch the vast stone of war, Moloch the stunned governments. Moloch whose mind is pure machinery, Moloch whose blood is running money, Moloch whose fingers are 10 armies, Moloch whose breast is a cannibal dynamo, Moloch whose ear is a smoking tomb. Moloch whose eyes are 1,000 blind windows, Moloch whose skyscrapers stand in the long streets like endless Jehovah's, Moloch whose factories dream and croak in the frog, Moloch whose smokestacks antennae crown the cities. Moloch whose love is endless, oil and stone, Moloch whose soul is electricity and banks, Moloch whose poverty is the spectre of genius, Moloch whose fate is a cloud of sexless hydrogen, Moloch whose name is the mind, Moloch in whom I sit lonely, Moloch in whom I dream angels. Crazy in Moloch, cocksucker in Moloch, lack love and manless in Moloch. Moloch who entered my soul early, Moloch in whom I am consciousness without a body, Moloch who frightened me out of my natural ecstasy, Moloch whom I abandoned. Wake up in Moloch, light streaming out of the sky. Moloch. Moloch robot apartments, invisible suburbs, skeleton treasures, blind capitals, demonic industry, spectral nations, invisible madhouses, granite cocks, monstrous bombs. They broke their backs, lifting Moloch to heaven. Pavements, trees, radios, tons, lifting the city to heaven which exists and is everywhere about us. Visions, omens, hallucinations, miracles, ecstasies gone down the American river, dreams, adorations, illuminations, religions, the whole boatload of sensitive bullshit. Breakthroughs. Over the river. Flips and crucifixions. Gone down the flood, highs, epiphanies, despairs, 10 years animal screams and suicides. Minds. new loves, mad generation down on the rocks of time. Real holy laughter in the river. They saw it all, the wild eyes, the holy yells. They bade farewell. They jumped off the roof to solitude, waving, carrying flowers down the river into the street. Part 3. Carl Solomon. I'm with you in Rockland where you're madder than I am. I am with you in Rockland where you must feel very strange. I am with you in Rockland where you intimidate the shade of my mother. I am with you in Rockland where you've murdered your 12 secretaries. I am with you in Rockland where you laugh at this invisible humour. I am with you in Rockland where we are great writers on the same dreadful typewriter. I am with you in Rockland where your condition has become serious and is reported on the radio. I am with you in Rockland where the faculties of the skull no longer admit the worms of the senses. I am with you in Rockland where you drink the tea of the breasts of the spinsters of Utica. I am with you in Rockland where you pun on the bodies of your nurses and the harpies of the Bronx. I am with you in Rockland where you scream in a straitjacket that you're losing the game of the actual ping-ponging of the abyss. I am with you in Rockland where you bang on the catatonic piano, the soul is innocent and the immortal, it should never die ungodly in an armed madhouse. I am with you in Rockland where 50 more shocks will never return your soul to its body again from its first pilgrimage across in the void. I am with you in Rockland where you accuse your doctors of insanity and plot the Hebrew socialist revolution against the fascist national Golgotha. I am with you in Rockland where you will spit the heavens of Long Island and resurrect your living human Jesus from the superhuman tomb. I'm with you in Rockland where there are 25,000 mad comrades all together singing the final stanzas of the Internationale. I am with you in Rockland where we hug and kiss the United States under our bed sheets, the United States that coughs all night and won't let us sleep. And I'm with you in Rockland where we wake up electrified out of the coma by our own souls, airplanes roaring over the roof, they've come to drop angelic bombs, the hospital illuminates itself, imaginary walls collapse, oh skinny legions run outside, oh starry spangled shock of mercy, the eternal war is here, oh victory, forget your underwear, we're free. And I am with you in Rockland. In my dreams, you walk dripping from a sea journey on the highway across America in tears to the door of my cottage in the western night. How, motherfuckers! Cue applause! Clap, 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 clap! Yeah, thanks, voices in my head. Woo! That was ambitious. That was absolutely ambitious. How are we all feeling? I tried to, whenever I perform that out loud, I try to perform it with a lot of passion because Ginsburg, quite classically, would do it very flat, very like bam, 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 free indirect discourse. So, I like to slide in there with the drama.
Alex says that was glorious.
That was glorious. Yeah, I love Howl.
As you said, that was glory. You
Glory all.
And then she corrected us.
Thanks, Violet. Yeah,
Alex.
Yeah, Violet's sending me hearts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Thank you, Violet, and thank you, Alex. Yeah, that is one of my favourites. How long do we have? We've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm quite inspired by the Beat Poets. I always have done, and I've always been called to sort of a more masculine approach to writing, which I think is really interesting. And it's especially interesting trying to translate that. Trying to translate that back into your own work. It's very much about what are these people saying. Okay, so how can I take those lessons and apply them to being vaguely female? I mean, I'm non-binary, but vaguely female, I guess, is correct. I don't know. Who cares? So, should we do one paragraph? Let's do one paragraph. The opening sequence of one of the novels that I wrote, called Memento Mori, was kind of a little bit influenced by that. So I'm just going to go for it. Yeah. Life never tells you the last time you'll see someone walking out the door. If it did, if I'd known that losing Braden was as simple as that final dopey smile he gave me as we kissed in the hall, I would have been more attentive. More focused, at least. I would have covered him in kisses and thrown time from the battlements for one last breathless minute. Had there been some time, some special indicator of things falling to shreds there and then, I would have found a way to savour it. Braden. His chest so wide and warm, shirt and button down to the last, hanging by an escaping thread off in the distance, the unexpected love of my life there. Across from me. Hair all scooped up like B-movie monsters or mermaids from the sea. Wood nymphs and soldiers after battle dragged through the hedge hands and made him seem more vibrant, more like his I don't give no fuck kind of attitude was born right into him. And he was there. In the hallway, 6:30 in the morning in Dulwich after we'd taken all the cocaine and MDMA and we were shining. Convinced the light came right from him in my mind, radiating out to feel all the others. His handsome figure lost the like of gods, of monsters, half-formed, illegitimately holy children, preaching a sermon of gorgeosity across the tiny, overpriced hallways. Dirty walls that would never get clean despite the stench of neat bleach and the sun peeking over the horizon and that shy smile where he looked down under his hat and I could see nothing but the curve of his girlish jaw and the stubble where he couldn't be bothered to shave. Black shirt. Gold detail curling back across his shoulders. Fusions of both genders, radiating out pride with his arm around my waist. I'm going to cut that there. But that was my attempt to write in a Ginsburg-y-like style. And that novel gets way more Ginsburg-y. It's a good book, actually. It cost a lot of trouble. People are very, 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 when you write, they want to recognise themselves and stuff. So when you loosely base something on someone and then extrapolate it, people often think that you actually meant them, and then you get in trouble. But anyway, moving forward, we are just about done. We have 5 minutes left. Do we have any more comments?
Alex said she'd never heard Howl before.
You've never heard Howl before, Alex? Oh, it's so good. If you go on YouTube, I'll send you the YouTube link. You can hear Ginsburg reading it himself, and you'll be able to see the differences in choice between the two performances. My captions still say Howl. Whoops. Well, I mean, at least you all know what it is. Yeah, Yeah. It's supposed to be performed very flatly, like almost in a free indirect discourse style. But I don't like to do it like that because it's like any good cover version, right? You gotta make it cool. Well, that is about all I have for you today. I am going to wrap it up because we did manage to broadcast to Instagram, and Instagram will only let you be live for an hour. So I'm going to leave it there. I feel like, oh, we have another comment from Violet. Violet says, I've cheated on that with my writing by actually telling people who the characters are based on. Yeah, I mean, it's all good. It's a long story. I will DM you about it, Violet. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting discussion, isn't it? And it happens a lot when I write poetry because I tend to change things around to make it sound better and more artistic. So, you know, you begin with something that's quite true, but then by the end, it deviates all the way out to, you know, something that is the tiniest grain of truth is in there somewhere, but you know, people will jump on it because they want to be muses. Who doesn't want to be a muse? Everyone wants to be a muse. So, yes, I feel like I've been here about 10 minutes. It's because I was talking for so long. Thank you so much for joining me for another hour. Do you like my fancy logo? Oh, yeah, I got logo going. It's really cool. Thank you for joining me. Please, as always, any tips you've got, the hosting platform is $50 a month to maintain, where I can do the fancy intro, outro. So anything received will go straight towards the cost of the streams. Anything plus will get kept in my bank account for next time. So if you're feeling payday deep pockets, please do contribute. If you'd like what you heard, follow and promote Nicoletta Wylde. Another way of supporting your creative friends without money is to promote them. So please share it, talk about it, tell your friends how much you loved it. That would mean the world to me. 6 weeks in now because week three got postponed because I had corona, and I'm loving it. I'm getting more confident on camera. I'm slowing down more. And I'm really, really having a good time with this whole thing. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad that I could bring the beauty of Howl into your lives. Violet says, thank you so much for doing this. That's okay. I really enjoy it. I should have done this a long time ago. And part of me wants to continue even after lockdown is over. But we'll see if my hangovers dictate that. Please keep getting better. Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for spending this hour with me. Please promote, please share, please drop some tips if you've got some. It's an expensive business. I have an outro. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I'm going to play the titles now. But we will see you later. Bye. The voices in my head say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. I say goodbye. We'll see you all next week, okay? Love you.